Hey, what's up, guys? It's Phil. Here's my American flag. Why? Because it's time for US government. So, hello, Fox Nerd. Who is Fox Nerd? Who is that exactly? I'm not sure who Fox Nerd is. Little Leo is there. Hello, little Leo. I know Zaloka. That is Yasmin. But I don't know who Fox Nerd is. Is that Eric? Maybe? I'm not sure. But anyway, guys, it's US government. We're going to do a little bit of studying the journals. We have to do a lot of journal work because I noticed that many of you have not. Hey, what's up, Gustavo? What's up, Giovanni? How are you guys? I'm gonna check in every once in a while to see if you guys have any questions. But in order for me to teach you the class, I have to leave this screen right here. So I'm not gonna be able to see all the comments all the time, but I'll check back and see the comments as we go along. So, guys, we did chapter one in class already, so I'm not going to teach you chapter one. What I'm going to do today is help you with the journaling for chapter one. And there's a lot of it. And so I want to be able to help you do it. And you have to really hand in your assignments because you guys haven't handed in too many of your assignments, and if you do not do this, you're going to have so much stuff to do. It's really impossible to do all this stuff if you just wait and wait and wait. Okay, so right now we're going to look at journals for chapter one. The next class, then, yeah, I'm going to start actually teaching the material for chapter two. It's probably going to be a pre-recorded class, which you can watch on Thursday at your regular class time, okay? But I will be available at the class time. If you have any questions, you can reach me on Skype or WhatsApp or in the comments section of the video. So this is the live comments, but after the video is on YouTube, if you want to leave comments below, I can go back and check them and answer any of your questions. And of course, email. Okay. Hi, Carolina. How you guys doing? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my whole screen. So it's going to look a little strange, very strange. And I'm going to make it full screen. And then I'm going to do that. Oops, I have to close the YouTube page because then it's going to have some delay. All right, are we all together? Like I said, every once in a while, I'll check back here to see any comments. But if I do, it's going to have that strange screen. So I'm not going to do it all the time. I'm going to do it some of the time. So what you should have open, of course, is Blackboard. And if you want, you can also have your ebook open, but I'm not sure you're going to need your ebook as much as Blackboard. But like I said, guys, there's a lot of work for US government. If you look at my grades, bad student, didn't hand any work, okay? You see that we have a lot of mini quizzes, okay, after each lesson. I'm going to try to make this a little bigger so you can see. So you need to do these mini quizzes, okay? We don't really have time to do the mini quizzes in the class. So this is something that you have to, at home or at some point during the day, do the quizzes, okay? What we really are going to focus on is the journaling though, because here it just gives me the quizzes, a lot of quizzes, okay? And they're not long. I think Eduardo, if I'm not mistaken, did one. A few of you guys did some of the quizzes. They're not long quizzes, and they're open book, okay? So you can use your ebook to do the quizzes. But what we are looking at is journaling for chapter one. So there's going to be a journal for lesson one, journal for lesson two, and a journal for lesson three. Okay, we watched this video in class, and at the end, this is the journal summary when you upload onto Blackboard. Your first journal entry should look like that. Chapter 1, Lesson 3. Remember, there were 3 separate questions, and you send them all together. Chapter 1, Lesson 2, again, it's going to be a similar style in Chapter 1. Oh, I'm sorry. Lesson 1, okay? 1, 2, and 3. Now, a lot of you in class were already doing your journals for lesson 1. You just need to send it. I saw that a lot of you were almost finished, so please send that. How do you do your journals? Again, you go to journals, or you go the long way. You go units, chapter 1. Okay, this is how you get to this page. If you don't remember, I'll do it for you because I don't have journals here, so I have to do it the long way. But you go unit 1, and there you go, chapter 1, and there we go. And then you click on this blue link. I already clicked on it. So where is it? Chapter 1.1. So I'm not going to go in detail with this because this is the one that we were doing in class, and you guys should already send, okay? This is all the information that you need to answer the journal question. In the first journal question, do you remember? Do you agree or disagree with Lincoln's view of the proper role of government? And then this is the information you need for the second journal question of this lesson, which is, how does government affect your daily life? And then you get to the last question. I believe there were 3 questions, right? Where you have to write a paragraph trying to convince a friend or relative why government is necessary. As you write, think about the origin of the state theories. Do you believe governments are there to carry out God's will? Okay, and this is all the little theories that we studied here. So what you want to do when you write your journal, you open a page and you would label it very neatly. You would say chapter 1, lesson 1, journal entries, not entrepreneurs. And then, you would answer the first question. I agree or disagree with Lincoln about, Lincoln. Oh, I'm having a problem here. Lincoln. Oh, I'm having a problem writing, guys. About government. Because okay, and then your second one would be the different ways that governments affect my life daily are, and then you put their list, right? There's 10 different ways, and then here, and then maybe you can label that why government is important, and then you can write your paragraph right at the bottom. Now, remember that after each journal question that you answer, and when you go to the very bottom of this page, it always says, be sure to attach your personal notes. So these are the notes that you take in class, that you take while you're watching one of the video lessons that I'm going to give. So for the next chapter, you can take your own notes, and you have 2 options. You can either copy and paste. So if you have your own notes, you can copy here. You can maybe make a division and saying my notes for chapter 1, lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, and you write that there. Okay, actually in this case it's just for lesson 1, my mistake. 1, lesson 1. And then you write your notes. Look at my notes. Aren't they wonderful? So it's nice to have maybe a page of notes, but make it very clear. Or if you're writing in a physical notebook, then you can take a picture of the pages where you kept your notes, send it to your email, download it, and then when you go to upload, and this is where your Blackboard is different than my Blackboard, but if I go down here, I have sort of a picture of it, right? Usually there's a thing up here that says, journals, and then you upload the one document with the 3 questions, and then you upload your personal notes, or you can keep your personal notes all together on one document. Does that make sense? I'm going to check if I have any questions so far, because we're going to move ahead. We're going to go to lesson 2, because we didn't look at those journal entries. Where do you send the notes? Eric is asked. Phil, I got a maximum grade on a quiz. I ought to do it twice. No, if you got a maximum grade, that's awesome. So definitely don't. Let me make myself big here. No, Gustavo, if you got a maximum grade on the quiz, don't send it twice. Why are you going to do it twice? But remember that there is the option to do the quiz 2 times. So if you didn't do very well the first time, try again. So very good, Gustavo. Eric, where do you send the notes? So like I said, your personal notes, either you're typing it on a Word page and then you can copy and paste it under all the journal questions that you answered, or if you wrote it on a notebook like this, okay, look at that, Texas, okay, then you get your phone, take a picture, send it to your email, then you're going to have a document, and in the same exact place where you upload your journals, if you scroll down that page, there should be a little thing that says attach a file. Okay, it should be like a little paper clip or something. And then you're going to attach those files. Okay, that's for lesson 1. When you do lesson 2, then you have to you have to do the whole process again. Don't send lesson 2, lesson 3 together, okay? This is just for lesson 1. So just to review, lesson 1 has those 3 questions. Lincoln, the 10 ways that, what is that? The 10 ways that government affects your life, and what type of government affects your life on the day-to-day. And 1 paragraph about why government is important. And then you can attach your notes. The files have to be separate, the answers in the notes, or it can be one doc. If you wrote it on Word, it can just be one long document. Yes, it can just be one long document plus your notes, okay? I would do it like that. Just make it one long document if it's all written. If you have it like this on a separate piece of paper, then yeah, it's going to be 2 separate documents. But if it's one document, just label. Make sure that you label. This is very important so that the teacher at Texas Tech understands that, hey, this is my journal, and now it's going to begin my notes. And then you put your notes down there, okay, for lesson 1. Is that cool? Any more questions about that? Hello, everybody that's there. I see that there's 16 people watching, so I'm glad that you all came to class. We will have class again on Thursday, but it will be at 2:45, okay? I will be live at 2:45. I'll send you a link, and then I'm going to start talking about the next chapter because we already did chapter 1 in class. I'm just kind of reviewing how to do the journals for chapter 1. So let's look at lesson 2, types of government. So again, I'm on the same page here, okay, that has these assignments, and I'm gonna click on this. I already did it beforehand, so I'm gonna go here, chapter 1. Guys, if you go to the bottom of all of these pages, it's going to kind of tell you what you need to do, okay? First, it told us to download, which we did. Check your journal entries, so we're gonna do that. I'm going to show you what the journal entries are, but be careful. Look at number 3. Attach the principles of government project with your notes. What is that? I'm going to show you what that is, okay? And be sure to attach your personal notes, okay? So this lesson 2 is going to have 3 elements. I'm going to answer some journal questions. I'm going to do this principle of government project. It's not difficult, guys. And I'm going to attach my personal notes. Now, I have something to show you. So let's get to US government. If, for some reason, you do not want to write personal notes, sometimes they give you the option of doing these little, doing these little graphic organizers, okay, as your notes. So you have that option, all right? But you do not need to do both. You do not need to do both. Is that okay? Can we move on? Let's move on. So we are here. So let's see what they want you to do for lesson 2. And by the way, guys, I try to do this by next class, let's say next Tuesday, because otherwise we're going to be really behind and I'm going to move ahead. This is a little bit of a review, so I'm not going to teach this again because I already taught all of this information in the class. I'm only going to look at the journals. So here they give you notes idea optional. So if you don't want to write your own notes, you can do this, okay? You'll understand when we get to the bottom what this is, and you can find the same exact chart if you go to lesson 2. Hey, there it is. It's the same chart, okay? Advantages and disadvantages. You press the little T to write, okay? Put your name, put date, and then you save it as a PDF. And by the way, if I move a little too fast, 1, you can tell me, or 2, you can watch the video again so you don't get too lost. But let's move down. What we're looking for is journal entries. So remember, lesson 2 is about the systems of government. So all the information that's here is going to help you answer any of the assignment questions. So you don't always have to go back to the ebook, but it's good to go to the ebook because for the quizzes, sometimes there's more information there than there is here. This is like the short version, right? So we have unitary governments where everything is centralized, confederate governments like the United States before it had the Constitution, federal governments where it's split, power is split, and then we have constitutional governments, okay? Remember that a constitution, it unites everybody under beliefs. It establishes the basic structures of government. It provides the supreme law. Some constitutions are written, some are unwritten. And here you have some vocabulary that tells you what is a constitutional government. Okay, it's one where it says this is clearly what limits the government has. So constitutional governments are usually limited governments. Again, I'm going a little fast because we did a lot of this stuff already in class. We want to focus on the journals. So as you're reading, you have to pay attention to when it says journal, because that's going to be your question. So here we have types of government, okay? Not every government that says it's a republic is really a republic. Remember, we talked about that. So what are the major types of government? We have authoritarian governments, okay, where the government controls all the aspects of a citizen's economic, political, and social life. And most authoritarian governments are totalitarian, okay, because the state has total control of everything that you do, not just the government institutions. This is the type of government that says what you can eat, where you have to live, what haircut you have to get. Okay, so imagine if everybody had to get the same haircut. That would be terrible, right? Oh my God, I'm not sharing the screen. I'm so sorry. Thank you. Is that better? So this is what I was looking at. Sorry about that. Look at this. I was on this right here. Okay, so where did I get this? Thank you for helping me there. Blackboard. Okay, chapter 1, Foundations of Government, lesson 2. I clicked on this blue thing right here, which opens this document. It's exactly like you did it for lesson 1. And then it goes down and down and down. So I'm just reviewing some of the information. We haven't gotten to the journal question yet. Okay, so you didn't miss much, but I'm just going down. I was right about here talking about totalitarian governments and what um, what they do, right? Totalitarian governments control every aspect. Oops, sorry. Excuse me. Every aspect of your life. Usually, citizens can't even go out and assemble. Okay, so here it gives us more examples of that. We also have a dictatorship. We have an oligarchy. Again, guys, I'm going fast because we studied this in class already. This is just a review so we can prepare for the journal questions. A monarchy usually has a king or a queen. And then we get to democratic governments, which is US government, okay? Which is ruled by the people, either directly or through representatives. A true democracy, remember we said that true democracies usually don't exist because it's the majority. So if the majority decides something really bad, this can be really bad, obviously, for the minority. So a lot of democracies are representative so that it protects the minorities, right? And that's where we get the word a republic. So the United States is a representative democracy, okay? We don't have a monarch, but also we don't have mob rule where the majority says what we can do. So let's move down. We have principles of democracy. This is going to be important for the little project that you're going to do. Again, we saw this in class. What are the principles of democracy? You want citizen participation. You want free and fair elections. You have to accept the result of the election. So maybe for 4 or 8 years, you have a president that's very left. And then after, you're going to have a president that's very right. And we have to accept this in a democracy. And then if you don't like the president that's very right, next election, you try to vote for one that's maybe in the middle. And then the next election, one that's left again. And in a democracy, we have to accept the results, okay? And not just us, but the ex-presidents and whoever was in the government before. We also have rule of law. Okay, if you break the law, you're going to be responsible for your actions, not just you, but even the leaders. And that's why we have something like impeachment. We have majority rule, but minority rights. because then it's unfair. If everybody believes that, women should stay home and not work, well, that's not a really good thing, right? I think, well, even though usually there's more women than men in a society, but hey, if the majority votes this is terrible. So you need to protect the minority. Well, and this is a perfect example in America, right? With slavery, there's definitely less blacks in America than whites, but the Constitution protected the rights of the minority, which were the blacks, and said, hey, they need to have equal rights. Because if we were just going to let the majority decide, well, the majority wanted to keep slavery. So true democracy is not always a good thing, guys. Accountability. That means that an official is going to make a decision, and if the decision doesn't go right, they say, hey, I'm responsible for this. And if it goes right, hey, I'm responsible for this. Vote for me again. Transparency. We actually get to know what's really happening. This is now that you see with the coronavirus. Every day, Donald Trump is on television talking and saying, or even here in Brazil, the governor of Sao Paulo, he's always on TV and saying, look, this is what we're doing. We're going to close this, and then we're going to open that, and then we're going to do this. So this is transparent. You know what's going on, okay? And limited government and a Bill of Rights, more freedom to the individual, okay? Less power to the government. This is democracy. Control of abuse of power. Corruption. We need to be able to fight corruption in a democracy. Economic freedom, the ability to buy and to sell the things that you want, start your own business. Equality. Hey, everybody should be treated equal, whether it's based on race, gender, age, religion, or other differences. Individual or human rights, okay? This says that we are going to respect your right as a human being. We're going to treat you right. We're not going to make laws that are against your ability to be happy and to move about freely and do what you want. If you want to color your hair green, color your hair green. If you don't. And the judiciary is independent. The judges aren't connected to any political party, or they're not connected to a corporation. They need to be independent. Okay? So, another foundation of government is that we have competing political parties. We can't have just one party all the time. A party is a political organization, like the Democrats, that's a political party. The Republicans is a political party. The PT in Brazil is a political party. So these are all different political parties. So for a vibrant democracy, you need to have many different political parties that are competing against themselves. And woohoo, finally, we get to the journal entry. Okay, so I'm going to just check to see if we have any questions so far. Oh, hey, Mohammed. Nice to see you. Hello, Jeza, again. And hello, Giovanni. So we have reached the journal question, okay? So again, what I was doing before was just giving you a review, but we did a lot of this stuff in class, so that's why I went a little fast. When I upload the chapter 3, it's going to be a little slower, or chapter 2, it's going to be a little slower, so you can take notes, you can follow along. But since we did this in class, just to get your brain working, we did a little bit of a review so we can get to the journal questions. So now I'm going to share my screen again. This is it right here, right? And there's my journal question. What are the major purposes of a constitution? Which purpose do you think is the most important, and why? And why is citizen participation an important principle of democracy? So guys, again, How do I do my journal? I'm just going to copy that. I have a blank page here. I'm going to erase that. And now this is going to be chapter 1. Lesson 2, right? Journal. So I have my first question. So I can write it right there. And then I can write the answer to this question. Now, if you paid attention in class and you are paying attention right now, you see that the answer to this question is going to be all the way in the top when we were talking about the Constitution. So you have to go up, up, more. And then when we get to the Constitution, you can scream, Constitution! But I can't hear you, so I'm going to imagine that you screamed. Oh, there it is, constitutional governments. So this section right here is going to help you answer this question, okay? It's going to explain what a constitution is. It's going to tell us what the role of a constitution is. And it's going to, which purpose do you think is the most important? So that is your opinion, okay? So you have 2 or 3 major purposes here. You have 3 major purposes. So of these 3 major purposes, which one do you think is most important and why? So, I can't answer that. You have to answer that for yourself. And then the second part of the question is, why is citizen participation an important principle of democracy? So we were talking about that a little bit further down. And this, again, is a question that you should be able to answer for yourself after everything that we talked about. But there you go, citizen participation. Let's just read that very quickly. One of the most basic principles of democracy is citizen participation. It's more than a right, it's a duty. It can take many forms. You could be informed, right? You can read the newspaper, watch the news, go online, search for what's happening. You can debate issues. Maybe you can go to a town hall. You can vote in elections. You can attend community meetings. You can be a member in a volunteer group. You can serve in the military. There's some kind of boring parts of citizen participation, but they're also important, like paying taxes. You can serve on a jury. You can run for office, and you can even protest. Okay, so there are many ways that you can participate in as a citizen, but the question is, why do you think this is important? Okay, guys, remember, I've told you this in class a few times. And where is Gustavo? Where's Gustavo? Gustavo, my friend, especially you. I'm joking, of course. But I know some of you like to write these books. You don't have to write books, okay? It's a journal. A journal is quick. Give me 3 sentences, okay? 2 sentences. The most important part of the journal is for your Texas teacher and for me to get the idea that you understand the concepts, okay? You need to let them know that you understand the concept of what's going on. So you don't have to write a book, right? Something short and sweet that gets to the point. And again, why? Because there's a lot of journal entries. If you spend 1 hour to write this long 3-paragraph answer, well, you have many more to do after, and it may actually hurt you more than it helps you, okay? So make it short and sweet. Unless it's specifically, there's Gustavo. I wrote right up. Thank you. But I love your books, by the way. You and I know Muhammad writes a lot. I love to read them. So, but I'm just saying this to help you, okay? Unless sometimes it's specifically going to say write one paragraph. So yes, write 5 to 7 sentences. It's a nice paragraph. But if it doesn't say this, guys, just give me the short version. 2, 3 sentences should be enough to answer this question. Okay, so we're going to continue. So this is lesson 2, chapter 1, lesson 2, journals. So I'm going to go back to this screen right there and minimize so we can see what else they want us to do. We were all the way at the bottom, right, where it said journal. So here you only have one journal question, but you have this, the Principles of Government project. What is that? Oh my goodness, that sounds scary, but it isn't. So you just go right here and you click on this. When you click on this, you're gonna have this beautiful little slideshow, okay? Now, this slideshow you can use as a template, and I don't know why that's black. When I downloaded it, it came like that. You can use it as a template, or you can create your own slideshow. I think it's easier to use the template, okay? And what are the directions? Use this template. I'm going to make it bigger now. Use this template to create your version of the principles of democracy. Remember, we just read all the principles of democracy. There were about 13 or 14 of them. Use the description given and illustrate the principles of democracy from your point of view. You may use visuals, audio, text, and or video clips that you feel best represent the principle described. I think they made a typo there. There are 14 descriptions. You will need to pick 10. Okay, so pay attention. You don't have to do all 14. So as you go here, look, accepting the results of the election. Number 2, for some reason, it doesn't show up, but it's accountability. When I have it big, it doesn't show up. But then you have the Bill of Rights, control of the abuse of power. Oh, so all my even number ones don't show up. That's very strange, guys. So let's do it small so you can see it. But it's all the ones that we just saw in that little Word document. Civil participation, control and abuse of power, economic freedom. So how do I do this? So I want to pick 10 of these. So I'm just going to do like this. How many do I have? I'm just going to go 1, 2. I'm just going to go to number 10. Now you pick the 10 that you want. I'm just doing this as an example. I'm just going to delete the bottom ones. Okay, so I have my 10. Right? So I want to put something in here that represents this idea. So I'm going to erase that. And I'm going to move it up here. And I'm going to say, okay, let's say, what represents this? When Donald Trump won the election, President Obama called to congratulate him. Every president in America does this. Okay, so I put something like that. And then if I want to be extra nice, maybe I can put Obama congratulates Trump. And I can find an image. And there we have the two of them together. There's a picture of them shaking hands because actually they had a meeting So I can copy that image. Where is my PDF, or not my PDF, my slideshow? And then I can just put it on there. Let me see if that works. I'm gonna just make it smaller, obviously, so that it fits. I can maybe put it on the side. Okay, so basically, that's it. That's what you have to do, okay? Let me slide layout. There you go. I liked it like that. Okay, so I can maybe fix it like that or do it however you want, okay? I didn't like that though. I think it looked better the other way. And I can move the picture there. So I have my first slide. So then I'm gonna do that for every one of these. Accountability, the Bill of Rights, okay? Maybe here the Bill of Rights gives Americans freedom to protest against the government. Other countries don't have this freedom. So let me move this out of the way, but keep this, okay? I mean, if you want, you can erase it maybe. They weren't very clear about that. So maybe here I can have Tiananmen Square. And I can, maybe this is a famous picture, right, of the protester. And maybe I want to put a nice picture there. And I'll be back on the live chat in a second to see if any of you have questions. That's very big, so I'm going to make it very small to put on the side there. And again, remember what I just said. You don't have to write a book. The idea is, do you understand the concept? Do you, and you put a little bit of effort into it. This is not like a research project like we did last year. Remember with US History 2, where we spent a lot of time on that. No, these are your journal entries. So it's something that I can see that you understand the concept and that later you can actually use as your notes for when you study for the test. So you're just gonna do all of this. Maybe here you put a picture of some people going to vote. Okay, you have a lot of options. I'm not gonna do the whole thing for you, but you saw how quick I did this, right? It's what I keep telling you guys. Are there a lot of assignments? But are they difficult assignments? Not really. You can do a lot of them in 15 to 20 minutes, maybe the longest, maybe half an hour. So don't stress about this. You're going to be stressed if you don't do the assignments and then you wait until June or October, and then you're going to look and say, oh my God, I have to do, 30 or 40 journal entries. Then, yeah, this is going to be very stressful. But if you just do them as the class is going, you'll see that they're not the most difficult assignments. What Yasmin says, you can go to journals on Blackboard and submit it on Chapter 1 journals. Yes, Chapter 1, Lesson 1, and now we're talking about Chapter 1, Lesson 2. So remember, just to recap, Lesson 1 are the ones we were doing at Agostiniano before the quarantine. Those, I saw that a lot of you were almost finished. I don't know why you didn't upload, so upload those, okay, on Blackboard. And now we're going to lesson 2. So then you have to go back and then it's a separate file. Then you go on Blackboard, journals, and then right in the corner in the top, I think it'll be on that side. Everything's backwards. It'll be somewhere there. It says journals. And then that's where you're going to be uploading these lesson 2 questions. And so far, it's one question, right? The first question is, about, let me double check. What are the major purposes of the Constitution? Which one do you think is most important? And why is citizen participation an important part of democracy? And then this slideshow. Okay, is everybody cool? Let me know if you're cool, but I think we're on the same page because I want to do the lesson 3 one. Okay, so let me share my screen again. Oh, there you go. Gonna share my screen again. So that's that, right? Let's see if we have to do anything else for chapter 2. So we did the journal entry, okay, which is this question right here. And then we do the slideshow. And of course, this one you can't really send in one file. So save your journal question and then attach the slideshow, which would be this. You can do it on PowerPoint. I don't use Office. Okay, I use Open Office, but just save it and then send it, upload it, and be sure to attach your personal notes once more. Okay, be sure to attach your personal notes, and your personal notes once more can be stuff that you wrote down or stuff like this, like a graphic organizer that you can get actually in the ebook. Does that make sense? And like it says, this will be your second entry for the Unit 1 journal. Okay? And again, if you don't want to write notes down, then what I suggest that you do, well, lesson 2, is send this. Fill this out. So then you have to put what is a system of government, the description, advantage, disadvantage. Do another system of government, description, advantage, disadvantage. Do a third system of government, description. So this can be sent as your notes also, okay? I prefer that you take your own notes because it's much more in-depth, much more detailed. And when it's time for the quizzes and the tests, you're going to have more information. Because imagine you're going to study for the test and all you have is this as your notes. I don't know if that's a very good idea, right? So we are finished with that. We are going to move ahead to, let's move ahead to lesson 3. So you click on this thing right here, chapter 1, lesson 3, which is going to open a separate document. Again, if you want the quick version, you go all the way to the bottom and it's going to tell you what you need to do. Obviously, you're going to have your journal entry, but then you have to attach your visual element that compares and contrasts two current nations and their economic systems and your personal notes. So what do they mean by that? Well, I will show you. We're going to skip that for now. So purposes and origins of the government. So this is the last class that we did before we were quarantined. We're told to be self-isolated, I should say. And it goes into the fundamentals of economics, what role the government has in an economic system of a country. We all know that America is more capitalist, but it's not true capitalism, right? Because there are some regulations, we pay taxes, but for the most part, it's a free market economy where you can start your own business, you can try to make money however you think is right, but there are regulations. That's why it's not a true capitalist society in America. Everybody remembers laissez-faire from US history too. And here it gives a little bit more detail about how free enterprise is used in the United States. But because the US government also regulates the economy, our country does not have a purely capitalist economy. That's very important, okay? What we deal with are mixed economies. Like many countries in the world, it mixes a little bit of capitalism, a little bit of socialism. The question is, what is the mix? Is it 80 to 90% capitalist with 10 to 20% socialist, or is it the other way around? Is it 70, 80% socialist with some capitalism? So um, this is the mix when we're talking about mixed economies. So with that out of the way, you have your journal entry. So when you're reading these Word documents, look for the journal entry. And what is the question? I'm going to copy and paste it. I didn't even read the question right now because my main goal is to make sure that I do this correctly. So I'll read it to you in 1 second. I'm just going to change that to lesson 3. And what is the question? What are the 5 characteristics of pure capitalism? Be sure to define each in your response and give an example of them. Your example can be text descriptions, or you can use visual representations. Hey, if you want to be a little creative and if you have time, you can make a slideshow. Why not? So well, let's make a new presentation. I think that's more interesting. No, that's terrible. Let me go back. Where's the one that I like? I like this one, yeah. Very simple. Okay, so I can write here the 5, the qualities of 5 characteristics of capitalism. 5 characteristics of capitalism. Did I spell characteristics wrong? If I did, this is why it's good to use Grammarly and spell check. Correct. There we go. And maybe I can put this in the middle, right? As the title of my slides. I'm going to erase this. And then I have 5, right? So I'm just going to put 5 slides. So what's the first characteristic? Let's look. I'm only going to do the first one so you get an idea. Origins of capitalism. Well, private ownership. Yeah, we also have freedom of choice. So this right here is what's going to give me the answer to this question. Okay, let me see. Yeah. Now that's economics. Yeah. So capitalism, freedom of choice, individual incentive. People are paid for the price of goods. So you have all that information here. So I'm just going to take the first one. Private ownership. And I'm going to go here and I'm going to put a 1, private ownership, and then explain. What is private ownership? You want to put a picture there? Go ahead. Not a problem. Private ownership, capitalism. Wonder if there's a nice picture. Oh, there it goes. Ernie's hardware store. So if I explain what it is, I can put a nice little picture there. Well, it went to the wrong side, but okay. I can explain what it is. Okay, get that out. There we go. So explain what is private. So I can do this 3, 4, 5. So that's one way to do this, okay, if you want. The other way to do this is just to write it, okay? So the 5 characteristics of pure capitalism are, and then it depends on you guys. What do you think is going to be faster and get the point across? So the first one we said private ownership. And if you want to use the exact book definition, that's not a problem. Of the factors of production. But this private ownership also extends to like houses and homes and stuff like that. So you can look that up. And then, of course, explain. Whoops. Explain, right? What is it? What does that mean exactly? If you're having problems finding the information, one, of course, you can always talk to me, but characteristics of capitalism, right? Be proactive. Look at that. What are the 5 main characteristics of capitalism? So you can find 9 characteristics of capitalism. So you can look and find an image, but don't put an image, okay? Because they want you to explain. So don't just find an image that gives you all 5. But these are different ways that you can find answers to some questions and that you can self-study, okay? So let me see if anybody has any questions. Sofia Aranya. Let's see. I'm going to show my face here very quickly. Hey, how are you? So, Sophia, what did you say? If I take my notes on a Word document, can I just copy and paste? Yes, yes. I answered that in the beginning. You can definitely copy and paste. Percy Willow, aka Muhammad. Can I send the lesson 2 journal on a Word file and a PowerPoint file? Yeah, that's what I was saying. I think you have to do that. You don't really have an option because the first question in the lesson 2 journal is it's an actual question. What are the major purposes of the Constitution? And which one do you think is more important and why is citizen participation important? But then you have to do that principles of government, which is a slideshow. So it has to be a PowerPoint. You really don't have an option. Now for lesson 3, for the journal question, I gave you the option of doing it as a PowerPoint because it's asking the 5 characteristics of capitalism. So you can just make a little slideshow, which is fine. Or you can just write it on a Word document like I was just showing, okay? So that one you have the option. I'm trying to understand the function of the slide presentation. For lesson 2, it's a template, okay? It's a template that you can use to answer the questions. Okay, so when you open it, I don't know if you opened it, João, but when you do, it's gonna give you all 14 of the essence of democracy. You know, what is the principles of democracy? Individual human rights, equality, control of abuse of power. So they're all gonna be there. And then all you have to do is give an example of each. Now, if you want to create a PowerPoint from scratch, like just create one yourself, you can do that. I think it's going to take longer. So if I were you, I would just use the PowerPoint that they offer and just paste the information there, either a sentence that tells me if what do you understand as Bill of Rights? Give me an example, right? Because it's not asking you to define it. It already gives you the definition. It's asking you to give an example of understanding what it means. So for the Bill of Rights, for example, let me see if I can find here. I'll show it to you again, João, so you can see. Let me see. How do I do this? Let me make the screen big again. And then I have to share. Okay. So you see, accepting the results of the election. This was already there when I opened. So all I did was I wrote an example of how I see this. Well, when Donald Trump won the election, President Obama called to congratulate him. Every president in America does this. And then I put a little picture of them together. And that's accepting the results. Why? Because Obama is a Democrat and he's more to the left, and Trump is a Republican, he's more to the right. But still, we had to accept that now we have Donald Trump as president. Not everybody accepts this, but in a democracy, we have to accept this. And if you don't like Donald Trump, guess what? The election is now this year in November, unless it's delayed because of this coronavirus. And then you can either vote for Joe Biden, which was Obama's vice president, or people can vote for Bernie Sanders, who is the other Democrat that maybe will win the Democratic nomination. But if you look at the first one, actually it's the third little picture, João, it gives you the directions, okay? Use this template to create your version of the principles of democracy. Use the descriptions given and illustrate the principles of democracy from your point of view. So don't give me a definition. Tell me from your point of view, what does accepting the results mean, okay? Because look, here it already gives the definition, so I don't need you to repeat. I did a second one, right? So here I already have the definition of the Bill of Rights. But in fact, I think you can just erase that. I don't even know if it's necessary. But I want to say that the Bill of Rights gives Americans freedom to protest, right? Because the First Amendment is freedom of speech. So I said other countries don't have this freedom. So I just put a little picture there of Tiananmen Square in China, where this famous picture of this man standing in front of the tanks because it was against the law to protest against the government in China. And it's still a little bit difficult there to protest, unlike maybe here in Brazil or in England, France, America, of course, where we have a little bit more freedom to do this. Okay? Does that make sense? Whoops, my computer just went boom. Let me go back to this. Does that make sense? Okay. So lesson 1 should be finished, guys. Okay, because you're taking too long for lesson 1. That I need to see that uploaded already, because I know most of you were almost finished that one. Lesson 2, I explained. If you weren't here at the beginning of the video where I explained lesson 2, this video will remain on YouTube, so you can watch it and do lesson 2. Lesson 3 is what I'm explaining now, okay? And we have, let's see, where did we stop? Yeah, it asked the question, what are the 5 characteristics of capitalism, which you found there, right? And if you have a difficult time finding it, you can always look on Google to find the characteristics of capitalism, because that's general knowledge, okay? So sometimes you have to do some self-study. But where am I? Where am I? Okay, we're going into lesson 3. Lesson 3. What are the 5 characteristics of capitalism? That's the first question. So what's the next question? So then we start talking about socialism, early socialism, democratic socialism. Again, we talked about this in class, so I'm not going to go over it in detail again with you. And then we have communism and a command economy where the upper levels of government control what the economy does. Okay. And we're going to go to the bottom because we are looking for this. There it is, journal entry. Okay. So this is the next question. What are the features of a purely communist country? Okay. So imagine your country is in a bad shape. So again, if you see this, my tip for you is to copy it. You know, I already put it. Where is our lesson 3 journal, right? So we did that. So this is the next question. Give it a little space. So what are the features of a purely communist country? So if you read that, or if you don't remember, you can read that. Imagine your economy is in a bad shape. Many people do not have jobs. Many people have had to sell or move out of their homes. And the number of people eating in soup kitchens, this is a place where people give food to the homeless, in living in homeless shelters is increasing daily. Companies are failing and business owners are afraid to create new jobs because they do not know if they will make enough profit to afford the new workers, especially because it will cost them more to comply with new government regulations. So we have all new government regulations. In a short paragraph, now Mr. Gustavo and Mohammed and all of my dear friends there, short paragraph. Now, yes, it's asking for a paragraph. So 5 to 7 sentences is a paragraph. It's basically going to be the size of the question, right? In a short paragraph, prioritize the following strategies to improve the economy and explain your reason. So, what do they want you to do? You have 4 options here of what you think are going to be the important ways to improve the economy. You're going to prioritize them. So you're going to tell me if the economy was crashing, so you don't have to rewrite everything. So I'm going to just help you with the beginning here. So if my country's economy was crashing, comma, I would take the following measures to save it. Something similar to this. And first, and then you have to choose which one of these do you believe is most important, okay? And then you put it there. And then second, then you pick whatever you feel is the second most important. Third, I would do that, right? And then the comma is after third. And then, and last, comma, I would, blah, 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 okay? Now, let's look at the possibilities. The government should lower taxes on wealthy business owners so they will have an incentive to expand their business. If you remember from US history, this is Reaganomics, right? Lowering taxes on the rich because the idea is that the money is going to flow down to the middle class. The government should lower taxes on the poor and middle class so they have more money to spend on goods and services. Now, a lot of Republican policy is based on this. They want to lower taxes on the middle class. They don't always do it, though. The government should not interfere with the economy. So here, you're just going to let it play out. This is similar to what Hoover did, if you remember from U.S. history, right? And then we had the Depression. It was during the Depression, and he said, "Hey, it's a cycle. Eventually, the Depression is going to end. It's best to just let it play out, and in the end, things will settle." This really put him in a bad spot, right? And eventually that's what allowed FDR to come in and create all these government plans. The government should take over industries that employ a lot of people and make sure workers get a fair wage. So then this is more government involvement. So maybe you are the type of guy that doesn't want the government to interfere with the economy. So first, I would talk to my economists and think and let them tell me what the situation is, how long we're going to be like this, and not interfere with the economy. But if you had to, then you could pick a second or a third. I would maybe try to lower taxes on businesses so more people are hired. And that's how you would write your paragraph. Of course, if you don't agree with one, maybe you would say, well, first, I definitely would not try to stay away from the economy because I believe that I need to help. Okay. So use these four examples here, however you think is best. If you really are unsure about your paragraph and you want to show it to me, you can always email me. It's not a problem. Okay. Not a problem at all. But that's what they want you to do is how would you fix this economy using these four tactics? Which tactic do you think is most important? Which tactic do you think is least important? Or maybe you just wouldn't use at all. Okay. So that's what you need to do, guys. Okay. Let me see if there's any questions here for that assignment. That part of the journal is cool. It's clear. Okay. And it's almost time to go. So let's just get to the bottom here. Well, the bottom is include your notes. Okay. Now, the thing with including your notes, pay attention. This is important here. This isn't just gonna when they say include your notes. Let me make it big so it's very clear. So you don't get confused. It's not just your own notes. Okay? Here they're actually giving you a prompt. Choose two current nations and compare and contrast their economic systems. You can create a Venn diagram, illustrate it with a picture or a chart, but you have to show the benefits and disadvantages of each. And you'll upload your work with your own notes, okay? Now, on Word, it's not very different from OpenOffice. You have the option of creating a table. You can insert a table, okay? And you can put how many columns you want, however many rows you want. So, you can make it 4, 5, 6. Let's just make it 6 just for our purposes. And look at that, I have a table. So I can compare two different countries and their economic systems. So maybe I want to compare the USA with China. Just two, right? So maybe I want to erase that one. So I can take a row and I can delete it. Oh, it didn't delete. It should have deleted, but it didn't. Row. Delete. I don't know why my rows are not deleting. But anyway, It's possible to delete it, but I don't know what I'm doing wrong. It's right here. Delete rows. There it is. Yes, I deleted the wrong row, but okay. All right, guys. Yeah, so I click on it and then I go here and I delete it. Okay, so then what do I want? What did they say that I wanted to put here? I want to list the benefits and disadvantages of each. Okay, so I could say America, for example, is more capitalist. Oh no, let me change this because otherwise I'm going to go crazy. And then China would be more socialist or communist, right? And then here I want to share the advantages and disadvantages of each. So in that case, I think it would actually be interesting for me to have a to insert another row, right? Why do I want that? Because here I can put advantages, disadvantages, right? And then I can write as many as I want. So if I want to make more rows here, I can. So you can form this however you want, okay? Or if you want, you can put advantages here and write the advantages, and then put the disadvantages. However you want to make this. You can make a Venn diagram, which is nice too. And then you can find a Venn diagram. You can probably do it if you click on Paint. Paint. It's probably going to be nice to do a Venn diagram. And a Venn diagram, you can just make two big circles. And then I'm going to make another circle. And then you can write here USA. Here you can write China. Again, pick your own countries. I mean, you can pick these countries too. So, and then here, you can have your text box and you can write, advantages, and then maybe below, disadvantages, and then do the same here. You can put some things that are similar in both, how both could have some similar advantages, similar disadvantages, and you can also do this. Look at this. If you are not comfortable doing it like that, you can use this little chart here. So roles of government in capitalism, socialism, and communism. So examples of countries with this type of government. Boom, boom, boom. Government involvement. How much government involvement is in capitalism, socialism, communism? What is the government's role? Okay, so you have a lot of different ways to do this last question. Okay, and then you attach your personal notes. So just to recap, you have to do the journal questions. Okay, you have to do the visual elements, comparing and contrasting two current nations and their economic system, which is what we just saw here. Okay. Sorry. And you do your own personal notes. Is everybody clear on that? Okay. So guys, you have a big mission because starting on Thursday's class, I'm going to upload the chapter 3 like actual lesson, okay, that you can listen to. It's probably going to be a little long, but it's going to be just to understand the chapter. I'm sorry, chapter 2. And you already have to start thinking about the work that you have to do for that. So this week, catch up. You have to catch up. You have to do all lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3 journals, quizzes, so that you can hand them in, so that next week we could start really fresh and really be able to do all the work. Is it a lot of work on one side? Yes. But on the other side, no. Because, like you saw, they're short, right? They're short little answers for a lot of these. And they really just want to know, did you understand the concept? So you don't have to write a whole book about understanding the concept. Okay. We have a lot of books on capitalism and socialism and all these concepts. No, I need to know, did you understand? Okay. I didn't understand the last journal entry. The last journal entry asks us to compare two countries and their economies, or we have to compare two different economic systems. It's a little bit of both, Mohammed. If you see the template on, I don't know if you have your ebook open, but I will share it with you. Give me a second. Let me just open that. I think the easiest way to do it is just use their template. I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Then I'm going to share again. All right, can you see this? Okay. This is the template from chapter 1, lesson 3. When you read that, when you click on that little reading strategies logo. So here they're giving us examples of countries with this type of economy. So you can put the countries there, the government involvement, the government role, or you can do the way that I showed, which is actually get two countries and compare and contrast them. So both work. Okay. If you go to the top of the reading essentials, give me a second, okay? Because I'm switching here between screens. I think it's easier if I do this. Okay. At the very top, like as soon as you open this chapter 1, lesson 3, reading essentials, it's gonna give you this right here, notes ideas optional. If you struggle with knowing how to take notes, blah, 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 it gives you the same table. And this table is what you can use to answer this question right here. Because it says, attach a visual element and compare and contrast to current nations. See, include with your notes above, which is that. Choose two current nations and compare and contrast their economic systems. You can create a Venn diagram, illustrate it with a picture or a chart. No matter what format you use, be sure to list the benefits and disadvantages of each one. You upload your work with your notes, okay? And then you post your personal notes. Let me see if that helped you. So that first little table, the one that they provide in the ebook, can help you organize to answer this question. So yes, you're going to talk about two different countries in their economic system. In that table, it has 3 different economic systems. So maybe just choose 2 out of the 3 and kind of write where it says, here, let me go back to it. So maybe here I just want to say USA, and I want to put China. A lot of government involvement. Oh, I'm sorry, capitalism. Less government involvement. But then here at the bottom, I have a place for disadvantages and advantages. What is the government's role? Okay, in a capitalist system, it kind of regulates a little bit, but not that much, right? What is the government's role in communism? It regulates a whole lot more, right? This is what we were talking about, a command economy. Government involvement is a lot more, but then you put what are the disadvantages and advantages, okay? Now, if you want to pick a socialist country, you can pick a socialist country. Maybe Cuba would be an example of one. So, or you can create your own table. If you feel comfortable creating your own table, like I did here, you can create a Venn diagram. You can create a actual little table here, advantages and disadvantages. And for the table, maybe I want to add, let's add like 4 more rows. So look, I have a whole lot more rows to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of socialism. Of capitalism and communism in these countries. So you have a lot of ways that you can do that. Okay? Does that make sense? Oh, I didn't share that last part with you. I didn't share my screen. Urgh. Okay, so you can make this little table, okay? And you can list here your advantages and disadvantages. You can make a Venn diagram, or you can use the ebook graph as a template and maybe just choose 2 countries, right? You don't have to choose all 3 to do that. And then you add your personal notes, okay? Add your personal notes at the end of it all. Guys, I'll be back on Thursday. Let me take this away. Wow, that was a lot of information, right? I'll be back on Thursday. At what time is US government? 2:45? No. Yes, 2:45 to 4:15. I will be here. I'm going to record chapter 3 full lesson. If you have any questions about these journal entries, if you want to show me your work, obviously you can email me, Skype. Also, I guess I'm in the WhatsApp group, so you can message me in the WhatsApp group about any of the work if you have any questions. And like I said, do the work because you don't want to fall behind. This is very important. And that's it, guys. Time's up. Time to go home. Wait, we're already home. Okay, so USA. See you guys. See you next week. If you have any extra questions, because when I end the broadcast here, the little chat box on the side is going to close. So if you have extra questions, write them in the comments below. Okay? And that's it. I'll see you guys on Thursday. Goodbye.